Hi everyone, and welcome to Jane Talks Trek, where I'll be talking about and reviewing an episode of the original series, The Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, or Enterprise. Today I'm looking at Counterpoint, from Voyager's 5th season, or as I like to call it, that time Janeway got her smooch on. This episode was requested by Super Pirate Tom as an episode where Janeway is on point, and I agree, so let's get going. We begin the episode with Devore ships getting up in Voyager's business, and it sounds like this isn't the first time this has happened. Man, this ship went with the ominous lighting choice, didn't it? This guy Prax barks out a bunch of orders. Janeway knows, dude!
Prepare to be boarded by Devore inspection teams.
Chakotay says the soldiers are aboard, and music starts playing as Janeway is called to her ready room, where this dude has the audacity to invite Janeway on her own ship to make herself at home. And into the credits we go. Ooh, I love the designs of these ships. The soldiers knows about the place, annoying Harry, being a dick to the doctor, and pissing off B'Elanna, before scanning the crew and asking Seven if she's a telepath.
No.
Kashyyyk is interested in Earth and points out the counterpoint in the music that's playing, before saying he just wants to be friends despite Voyager wandering uninvited into Devore territory. He goes on to question Janeway about her 4 telepathic crew members she has, Tuvok, Vorik, Sutar and Jarot, but she says they're all dead. Well, I mean one of them isn't a lie, but also Lieutenant Stardy doesn't get a mention. She was the original helmswoman, who too was a Betazoid. Kashyyyk says it's lucky because having telepaths on board is an arrestable offence, because telepaths can't be trusted due to them straight up reading minds. Prax reports that Voyager is clear, although it did deviate from its agreed flight path twice, but Kashyyyk says they can let it slide. With the Devore gone, everyone rushes around faffing with the transporters, even though there's a problem, and they're able to rematerialise their own crew members as well as several telepaths. One played by Randy Oglesby, who has played 7 different characters across the franchise, perhaps most notably Degra in Enterprise's Xindi storyline. We hear in a voiceover that this shit has been going on for weeks, and luckily their guests will be picked up soon. And Janeway checks up on them, where it's discovered that all this time spent hiding in the transporter buffer has taken its toll on them. Janeway has a phone call telling of the pickup ship's new rendezvous point, which unfortunately will draw attention to themselves with the Devore.
Just what the doctor didn't order.
So she wants to try and keep a low profile as best they can. Neelix is entertaining the psychic kids, but this little shitbird keeps reading his mind. But he does apologise, and Janeway comes to visit. She's worried about the kids' well-being, but Neelix assures her she did the right thing smuggling them. And this line, out of context, sounds mildly dirty.
For you, it's always open.
A Devore ship is detected, so everyone scrambles, but it's just Kashyyyk, who says he's defecting and is seeking asylum.
Now, why would I risk the safety of my crew by harboring a defector?
But Kashyyyk spills the tea that he knows she's smuggling psychics, and what's more, the rendezvous ship is a trap. He says he'll help hide her little secret, only if she agrees to take him with her. And he does so with his crazy eyes.
I'm your only hope.
Kashyyyk proves himself by showing Seven how to detect cloaked Devore warships, and gives them the means to avoid inspection while they head for the wormhole that leads out of the territory. Janeway thinks he's a little sus, so wants to check with their passengers first, and until then, here's an armed guard. Kerr thinks it's a bit weird, but not completely unheard of, but he can't read his mind as he's trained to resist it. So Janeway decides to trust Kashyyyk for now, and in order to find the wormhole, they're going to need to talk to some bloke who apparently knows where it is. Janeway wants to know why Kashyyyk suddenly wanted to switch sides, but he says he's been planning it for years, and Voyager provided the perfect opportunity as any other ship would not take him. But she's still dubious. However, she agrees to take him, providing he's monitored at all times. Death glare. They find the wormhole bloke, but he doesn't particularly want to talk.
Go away!
So they beam him aboard. Wait, who's flying his ship? And wasn't he just sat down? They try to bribe him, which doesn't work, so Kashyyyk insults him instead.
Obscurity!
Janeway's face. And they trick him into helping them.
Where is it? Actually, a better question would be, where is it now?
The guy explains that this end of the wormhole moves about. Yes, very scientific. And agrees to give them the last 4 locations so they can work out where it will appear next. Janeway is stressing because she can't find a pattern in the wormhole's appearances. But hello! Oh, and something about a counterpoint, because that's the name of the episode. Run analysis. That's going to take a while, so time for a coffee break and a chat.
I suppose you liked me better in uniform.
I haven't decided whether I like you at all.
And they look at some pretty lights together. Kashyyyk points out that Janeway is messing with the Prime Directive, but she don't give a shit, and instead asks about him. So he tells her his story. Him and his team were inspecting a vessel when they found a family of telepaths, including a little girl who was hiding, and close to death. When Kashyyyk saved her, she thanked him before he tossed her in prison, and he's been feeling guilty about it ever since. But sod off, the analysis is done, and they have their wormhole location. Trouble is, they've got to go through an automated detection zone to get there. Kashyyyk says they might be able to sneak through if their power output is low enough, and they have an awkward moment outside his quarters. This guy knows what's up. Look at that smile! They approach the automated thingy, and while they're not detected by the first pulse, it upsets the engine, which B'Elanna can't fix in time.
We've been detected.
So they get the fuck out of there. Janeway plans to fight her way to the wormhole if necessary, but Kashyyyk has another idea. He plans to go back and lead the inspection team that's on their way to make sure the telepaths aren't discovered. And while Janeway doesn't like this idea, she doesn't have much of a choice. She admits she was planning on asking him to stay on board permanently.
You wouldn't be the first wayward soul we've folded into our ranks.
But he has to go. But not before Janeway sucks his face, though. No wonder she wanted him to stay on board. Prax calls again with another inspection. But what the fuck is Tuvok stood on the bridge for? Do you want to get caught? Because this is how you get caught. Kashyyyk calls Janeway to her ready room while the soldiers do their usual thing, and man, this dude looks pissed to be scanned. Kashyyyk boots Prax out of the room to have a private chat with Janeway, who confirms that their passengers are in transporter suspension and the wormhole is close by. And then the asshole turns around and dobs Janeway in.
Impressive. You gave a masterful performance.
The bridge has now been taken over, and Kashyyyk orders the wormhole to be destabilized, but it's not there, and Kashyyyk realizes he's been tricked.
You created false readings.
That is the theme for this evening, isn't it?
Yes, Queen! And she shits on his plans further when it's revealed that it was vegetables in the transporter suspension, and 2 shuttles are missing, hidden from sensors thanks to Kashyyyk himself.
Well, you gave us the specifications. Seemed a shame to waste them.
The telepaths manage to open the wormhole and escape through it, and Kashyyyk throws a strop, having been beaten, and orders everyone to forget this ever happened. Janeway tells Kashyyyk she really was serious about him going with them, and he fucks off, having been defeated. I love this episode, so I was happy when Super Pirate Tom asked for it. I love Voyager as a show, but the cast of characters I find are probably the weakest for me, as I don't particularly engage with any of them outside of the Doctor, Seven of Nine, and Janeway. Don't get me wrong, I love Chakotay, but they do jack diddly with his character. But anyway, this is such a strong episode for Janeway, and it really shows how ruthless she is as a person, and how badass she is as a captain. She obviously stranded the lot of them in the Delta Quadrant by blowing up the caretaker to save the Ocampa, immediately screwing up the Prime Directive the moment she stepped through the door, and she's continued to violate it ever since, including in this case. That's the thing with Janeway, she can't help herself, she has to help people, and I think this comes from her guilt of stranding her own crew. While she is incredibly compassionate and helps those in need, she also has no fucks to give when it comes to people trying to mess with her. I mean, she made an alliance with the Borg because Species 8472 were in her way. Janeway is so calculating, and in such an unfamiliar environment she could have easily been portrayed as naive. But she knows exactly what she's doing and doesn't allow her own feelings to stand in the way of her duty to those around her. She so desperately wanted Kashyyyk to be genuine, and she really would have taken him with her, but for the safety of her people and those she was trying to help, she couldn't allow herself to trust him. And in her own words, it was a masterful performance. Meanwhile, I so desperately wanted Kashyyyk to be genuine, because I like when they make new friends, and he did seem like he wanted to change. And Janeway deserves a little happiness. But the second his true nature was revealed, I was like, get him, Catherine! It's one of those cat and mouse episodes, and while it's not on such a big scale like Balance of Terror or Chain of Command, it's just as satisfying to watch. So there you have it. That was Counterpoint. If there's an episode of Star Trek you'd like me to cover, pop it down in the comments below, or come say hi on social media. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button, it really does mean a lot, or consider subscribing if you want to be assimilated into my channel. Alternatively, feel free to check out my other YouTube channels, Jane Talks Real, Jane Plays Games Badly, and Jane Talks Murder. Thank you so much for watching, I'll speak to you soon, and live long and prosper.